Assalamu alaikum, dear brother and sister. Imagine a world where honesty fades, where knowledge disappears, and where chaos reigns. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, foretold such times. A series of signs that will appear as we approach the end. These aren't just vague warnings. They're chillingly specific predictions about the challenges humanity will face, and they're unfolding right before our eyes. Stay with me as we uncover 10 powerful hadiths that reveal what's to come. Are you prepared for what lies ahead? The end of times, or the day of judgment, is a concept that runs deeply throughout Islamic teachings. While it may seem distant, almost otherworldly, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, provided us with detailed insights into what the world will look like as this final chapter of human history approaches. For many of us, it's easy to think of these events as far off, as something that may not impact our lives directly. Yet, when we dive into the hadiths that the Prophet shared, we find vivid descriptions of events and transformations that are, surprisingly, very familiar to us today. These signs are not just mysterious prophecies, but markers of change and decline within society. Issues that directly touch our communities, our families, and even our inner selves. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, didn't leave these warnings in ambiguity. Instead, he described specific changes that would unfold in the world, showing us just how critical it is to pay attention and remain vigilant. He pointed out that the end times would bring about drastic shifts in values, morality, and daily life, a period in which the principles of faith would be challenged as never before. These hadiths hold profound messages, each one encouraging us to keep our faith alive, to seek true knowledge, and to be steadfast in a world that increasingly tests our values. The purpose of sharing these signs is not to frighten us, but to serve as a wake-up call, an invitation to prepare, both mentally and spiritually, for a time when faith may feel like holding a hot coal in our hands. They compel us to examine the world around us, to question what is happening, and to make sure that we're not merely drifting in the current of societal change, but rather standing firm on the foundations of our beliefs. What's particularly striking about these signs is how familiar they feel when we look around us. The Prophet described a world where ignorance would spread, where morals would weaken, where people would be so entangled with wealth and materialism that they would neglect the values that once held society together. These are changes that are not limited to a specific place or culture. They are global, affecting communities of all backgrounds. And each of these signs serves as a critical reminder for us to resist getting lost in these trends. Instead, we're encouraged to stay connected to our purpose, to remain honest, to prioritize sincerity over appearances, and to ensure that we're building our lives in alignment with the teachings of Islam. One of the most pressing signs that the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, described is the decline of knowledge, specifically religious knowledge. The Prophet said, "Among the signs of the hour are the disappearance of knowledge and the prevalence of ignorance." This is not merely a general decline in literacy or education. It's about the disappearance of true Islamic knowledge, the understanding and application of the Quran and Sunnah. Imagine a time when the wisdom of the Quran, the teachings of the Prophet, and the understanding of true Islam would become scarce, even among those who consider themselves Muslims. This absence of knowledge leads to a void where ignorance takes root and people lose their connection with their Creator. The Prophet warned that such ignorance would become widespread, affecting people's understanding of what it means to live a righteous life, and even blurring the lines between right and wrong. Today, we see glimpses of this warning in our society. While access to information has never been easier, the pursuit of true Islamic knowledge often takes a back seat. Many are more engaged in social media trends, entertainment, and worldly knowledge rather than understanding the Quran, learning about the life of the Prophet, or seeking the wisdom of our faith. When religious knowledge fades, misunderstandings and misinterpretations grow, leading many down paths of confusion, doubt, or even misguided practices. It's a reminder for us to make learning and understanding Islam a priority. For parents, it's a call to teach their children about faith in a way that is authentic and rooted in the teachings of the Prophet. For everyone, it's a prompt to seek out knowledgeable teachers, scholars, and resources that help us build a deep, accurate understanding of Islam so that we're not caught in the currents of confusion and ignorance. The Prophet also highlighted another critical sign: the abundance of wealth, yet a lack of gratitude and compassion. He said, "The hour will not be established until wealth will become abundant." Today, we live in an era where material prosperity is greater than at any other time in history. Despite the abundance of wealth, however, generosity and gratitude seem scarce. People are quick to spend lavishly on luxuries, but slow to help those in need or to be thankful for their blessings. Wealth itself isn't the problem. It's the shift in attitude it brings, the sense of entitlement, the constant craving for more, and the feeling that what we have is never enough. This hadith emphasizes the importance of using wealth as a means to draw closer to Allah, not as an end that distracts us from Him. Wealth is meant to be a test, one that examines our values, our generosity, and our reliance on Allah. When the Prophet spoke of the abundance of wealth as a sign, he warned of a time when people would lose their sense of gratitude, replacing it with a sense of self-reliance and even arrogance. We see people chasing material gains, investing time and energy into building wealth, but often forgetting to use it in ways that truly benefit their souls. It's a reminder that wealth is a gift from Allah and should be treated as such. Gratitude can be shown through charity, helping others, and using what we have to contribute to society rather than merely indulging in personal desires. This hadith encourages us to reflect on our priorities and to ensure that we're not letting wealth distract us from our purpose. These hadiths serve as more than just markers of the end times. They are a deep reflection on our world and ourselves. They encourage us to ask, are we using our wealth wisely? Are we grateful for what we have? Are we passing down true knowledge? Each sign, each hadith, isn't just a distant prophecy, but a call to action for every Muslim to take seriously. As we continue to explore these signs, let us keep our hearts and minds open to the lessons they hold, guiding us to prepare for a world that is constantly changing, yet anchored by the timeless wisdom of our Prophet. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, spoke about a time when honesty and trustworthiness would fade from society, leaving behind a world where deceit and treachery are the norms. In one of his hadiths, he said, "There will come years of treachery when the liar will be regarded as honest and the honest man will be regarded as a liar." This description seems hauntingly familiar today, where the truth is often twisted and those who speak sincerely are sometimes ignored or even ridiculed. The Prophet's words point to a society that has lost its foundation, where integrity is no longer valued and where truth becomes a rare, almost endangered quality. This change isn't just about the casual lie or small acts of deceit. It represents a deep, structural shift in values where lying becomes acceptable, even expected. And those who try to hold on to honesty find themselves isolated or criticized. Honesty, or sidq in Arabic, is central to Islamic teachings. It is not only a personal virtue, but a social foundation. It builds trust between people, between communities, and even within families. When trust is broken, society begins to crumble as people lose their sense of security and feel they can no longer rely on one another. The Prophet's warning about a time when honesty would be disregarded is not just a prediction, but a reminder for us to hold tightly to the principles of integrity, even when it seems like the rest of the world is letting go. In today's world, we see examples of this decline in honesty everywhere. In politics, business, and even personal relationships, the truth is often twisted to serve selfish interests. People are praised for being clever or strategic when they manipulate facts to get ahead, while those who are straightforward and truthful are sometimes seen as naive or weak. For Muslims, this hadith is a call to resist the temptation to follow these trends. We are reminded that our actions are ultimately between us and Allah, and that He knows the truth of every word we speak and every intention we hold. The disappearance of honesty and trustworthiness in society is a test of our character. It challenges us to stand firm, to be honest in our dealings, and to speak the truth, even when it feels uncomfortable or puts us at a disadvantage. This hadith serves as a powerful warning to always prioritize truth over personal gain, to be trustworthy in our relationships, and to recognize that our honesty is part of our worship to Allah. The Prophet's prediction about the fading of honesty encourages us to become people whom others can rely on and trust, to embody the values that seem to be disappearing, and to remember that even if society forgets the importance of truth, our faith never does. The Prophet also foretold a time when people would compete in the construction of tall buildings. He said, "When you see barefoot, naked, destitute shepherds competing in the construction of tall buildings, then it is from the signs of the hour." This prophecy may seem peculiar at first glance, but when we look around us, it becomes clear that this prediction has become reality in ways that would have been unimaginable centuries ago. Today, we see cities around the world racing to build the tallest skyscrapers, each one competing to reach higher and higher, to be more extravagant, to make a statement. This competition isn't driven by need or utility. It is often motivated by pride, vanity, and a desire to showcase power and wealth. The Prophet's words are a reflection of how society's values can shift from simplicity and humility to extravagance and excess. The imagery he used of barefoot, naked, destitute shepherds reminds us that those who once lived humbly will become obsessed with showing off their status. This transformation is a sign of the end times because it marks a departure from the Islamic values of humility, gratitude, and simplicity. In Islam, we are encouraged to live modestly, to remember that everything we have is from Allah, and to use our resources wisely. The race to build taller and grander buildings is a reflection of society's focus on appearance rather than substance, on external success rather than internal growth. It is easy to become captivated by the allure of material success, but this hadith reminds us that such pursuits can be hollow if they lack purpose and meaning. The competition to build taller buildings also reflects a shift in priorities. Instead of focusing on helping the less fortunate, improving communities, or building something beneficial, people are driven by the need to outdo one another. This desire to compete in material displays is a symptom of a society that has lost its sense of balance, where showing off wealth takes precedence over using it for good. The Prophet's warning serves as a call for us to examine our intentions and to ask ourselves, are we working to better our lives in a meaningful way, or are we simply seeking recognition and status? This obsession with status is not limited to buildings. It's reflected in the way people approach many aspects of life, from careers to social media. The pressure to constantly prove ourselves, to accumulate more, and to display our success publicly can distract us from our true purpose. For Muslims, this hadith is a reminder to stay grounded, to focus on the quality of our actions rather than their appearance, and to avoid becoming consumed by a need to compete with others in superficial ways. The Prophet's description of a world where people race to build the tallest buildings is a metaphor for a society that has lost its sense of humility. In such a world, the true value of wealth and success is forgotten, and the focus shifts to outward displays of power rather than inward growth and connection with Allah. This hadith encourages us to hold on to our values of humility, to seek success that is meaningful and beneficial, and to avoid being swayed by the empty competition for status and recognition. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, warned of a time when many individuals would falsely claim prophethood, leading people astray and creating confusion in the faith. He said, "The hour will not come until there appear about 30 impostors, each of them claiming that he is a prophet." This hadith serves as a stark reminder of the trials that await as we approach the end of times. The rise of false prophets is not only a symbol of religious misguidance, but also a representation of the spiritual vulnerability that many people may feel, making them susceptible to individuals who offer them promises and false hopes under the guise of Islam. False prophets exploit this vulnerability, using it to gain influence, power, and personal benefits. This prophecy from the prophet is not just a warning about certain people, but an invitation to critically assess anyone who claims religious authority, particularly if their teachings do not align with the Quran and the authentic Sunnah. In today's world, it is easier than ever for such figures to gain a following. With the help of social media and other platforms, individuals who promote misleading teachings can reach a large audience quickly, often without being questioned or scrutinized. They might present themselves as charismatic leaders, as knowledgeable scholars, or even as chosen ones, yet their teachings deviate from the true path of Islam. This distortion of faith can cause immense damage, particularly for individuals who may already be struggling in their faith or who lack a deep understanding of Islamic principles. False prophets prey on this lack of knowledge, often using persuasive rhetoric to manipulate their followers, drawing them further from the light of Islam. This hadith encourages Muslims to deepen their own understanding of Islam so that they are less likely to be misled by such individuals. It reminds us to connect with trusted scholars, to seek guidance from authentic sources, and to prioritize learning so that we recognize and avoid such imposters. This prophecy also emphasizes the importance of collective responsibility. It's not enough for individuals to protect themselves. Communities must work together to uphold true knowledge, to educate one another, and to ensure that everyone has access to accurate Islamic teachings. By fostering environments of knowledge and support, we can protect ourselves and each other from false teachings and maintain a strong foundation of faith that is resistant to manipulation and deception. The Prophet also spoke about a disturbing sign of the end times, the neglect and abandonment of salah, or prayer. He said that one of the last signs before the Day of Judgment would be a time when people no longer value prayer, when the act of performing salah would disappear. Salah is one of the pillars of Islam, the primary way that Muslims maintain a connection with Allah, and its abandonment represents a major shift in faith and priorities. In a world where salah is neglected, people lose their spiritual anchor. They become disconnected from the remembrance of Allah, and their actions and decisions are increasingly influenced by worldly desires rather than by faith. This loss of connection has profound implications on both the individual and societal levels. When prayer is abandoned, it often signifies a greater loss of spirituality within society. Salah is not just a ritual, it's a discipline that shapes a Muslim's character, keeps them mindful of Allah, and helps them remain patient and grateful in all circumstances. Without this daily reminder, people can easily fall into negative behaviors, losing their sense of purpose and direction. Prayer serves as a reminder of accountability, encouraging us to live righteously, seek forgiveness, and express gratitude. When people stop praying, these values become weakened, and society becomes more susceptible to moral and ethical decline. This prophecy is especially relevant today, where many people find it challenging to keep up with their prayers due to the demands of modern life. The pressures of work, school, and social commitments often make it difficult for people to prioritize salah, leading many to either delay or abandon it altogether. The Prophet's words about the abandonment of salah remind us that, no matter how busy life gets, our connection with Allah should remain our highest priority. It encourages us to establish a routine of prayer, to protect this act of worship, and to remember that it is a gift, a moment of peace and reflection in a chaotic world. The Hadith is a call to Muslims to resist the distractions of modern life, to hold on to the discipline of prayer, and to pass down this commitment to future generations. Another deeply profound sign that the Prophet spoke about is the coming of the Dajjal, often referred to as the Antichrist in Islamic teachings. The Prophet warned about this figure extensively, describing the Dajjal as the greatest trial that humanity will ever face. He said, "There has never been a fitna, trial, greater than that of the Dajjal, since Allah created mankind. The Dajjal is described as a deceiver, someone who will use his powers and influence to mislead people and convince them to abandon their faith. His emergence will mark a period of severe trials, confusion, and moral decay. People will be tested like never before, and the Dajjal will play upon their fears, desires, and weaknesses to lead them astray. The Dajjal's arrival is a test of faith and resilience, challenging believers to hold tightly to their beliefs even in the face of immense deception and hardship. He will perform extraordinary acts that appear miraculous, using them to convince people that he is divine, even though he is far from it. The Dajjal's deception will be so powerful that only those with the strongest faith and knowledge of Islam will be able to see through it. The Prophet instructed Muslims to seek protection from this trial, to pray for guidance, and to recite specific supplications to safeguard themselves from the influence of the Dajjal. This prophecy serves as a reminder for Muslims to build a strong foundation of faith, to understand the teachings of Islam deeply, and to stay vigilant. This hadith also emphasizes the importance of preparation. The trial of the Dajjal is not just a test for the individual, it's a trial for communities and societies as a whole. The Prophet encouraged Muslims to stick together, to support one another, and to seek strength in unity. The Dajjal's power lies in his ability to create division, fear, and doubt. By fostering a strong community grounded in faith, Muslims can create a collective resilience against the trials he will bring. The Prophet's warning about the Dajjal is not simply a prediction, it's a call to actively prepare, to strengthen our hearts, and to nurture our understanding of Islam so that we are equipped to face any trials that come our way. In reflecting on these prophecies, we find that the signs of the end times are not just markers of distant events, but reminders to assess our lives, strengthen our faith, and hold on to the teachings of the Prophet. Each hadith points to aspects of society that are gradually changing and urges us to remain true to the principles of Islam. Whether it's the rise of false prophets, the abandonment of Salah, or the arrival of the Dajjal, each sign serves as a wake-up call for Muslims to stay vigilant, to seek knowledge, and to build a relationship with Allah that can withstand any trial. These teachings encourage us to prepare not only for the end times, but to live every day in a way that honors our faith, strengthens our character, and brings us closer to Allah. In these hadiths, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, gifted us profound insights into the trials and transformations that would characterize the end of times. His teachings describe a world where values are twisted, where the sacred is forgotten, and where deception and materialism erode the foundations of faith and community. These signs aren't just ominous warnings, they are calls to action, urging each Muslim to hold fast to their principles, deepen their understanding of Islam, and foster a connection with Allah that can endure the challenges of any era. From the decline of honesty and the rise of false prophets, to the widespread abandonment of Salah and the fearsome trial of the Dajjal, each prophecy serves as a powerful reminder of what truly matters. In a world that increasingly values the superficial over the sincere, these hadiths encourage us to prioritize humility, honesty, and resilience. They remind us that faith is more than rituals. It is a living, breathing relationship with Allah that demands sincerity, discipline, and a commitment to truth. As we reflect on these signs, let us remember that they serve as an invitation to prepare, not only for the end times, but for every moment we have been blessed with. These teachings prompt us to build lives centered on gratitude, integrity, and devotion, ensuring that no matter the trials that come our way, we are grounded in a faith that is unwavering and prepared for the journey beyond this life. In staying connected to these teachings, may we find strength, wisdom, and guidance, allowing us to navigate the world with purpose and a heart anchored firmly in the remembrance of Allah. As we come to the end of this journey through the Prophet's timeless wisdom about the end times, let's take a moment to reflect on the guidance he left us. These teachings aren't here to frighten us, but to awaken us, to pull us closer to the values that make us strong, compassionate, and resilient in our faith. Each of these signs is a reminder, a gentle nudge for us to prepare our hearts, to strengthen our connection with Allah, and to nurture the qualities that lead us to His mercy and protection. No matter how uncertain or challenging the world becomes, we have a blueprint in our hands. We have the Quran, we have the Prophet's guidance, and we have each other. Let's hold on to that and let it be our anchor. Because when we live with purpose, with honesty, and with humility, we're not just preparing for the end of times, we're preparing our souls for the hereafter. Thank you for joining me on this journey. May Allah keep us steadfast, may He fill our hearts with light, and may we always find peace in the beauty of our faith. Until next time, take care, stay connected to your faith, and remember, every small step brings us closer to Him. Wassalamu alaikum.